Geez, that's a heavy topic of why is it ingrained in us? Where do you want to start? Where do you want to go back to?
I know why it's ingrained. How do we change it?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Changes.
Okay, so today we have with us Nick Wright. Nick brings over 15 years of experience across financial services and consulting. But beyond the numbers, Nick has evolved into a strategic guide, helping organizations navigate complexity, make confident decisions, and uncover insights that drive real transformation. In this conversation, we discuss what it truly takes to turn data into meaningful action.
Well,
Nick.
welcome, Nick.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you making time this afternoon for me here. So thank you very much. Looking forward to chatting.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure, Nick. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your journey. Tell us your background and how it brought you to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a month ago, I was sole business owner of Petrify Insights. We're a data and analytics consulting business where we help mid-market size businesses really uplift their data and analytics capability through multiple ways, whether it's putting a data strategy together or performing the work of a fractional data and analytics support team. So look, we just here at Petrify, love getting into the data and being able to help teams get more out of what they have, because at the moment everyone's got data galore, you've got systems everywhere, but it's all over the place. So it's all about bringing it together and being able to use it more strategically to make decisions for your business rather than just relying off your gut. But it's a bit about me. The business has been operating for 2.5 years, which is pretty exciting. Before that, I was in consulting at Deloitte, Accenture for a number of years, working in telco, financial services, mostly around transformation side of things and helping enterprise level businesses. But before that, it's really going back, insurance. I was at insurance for a number of years, worked as a senior underwriter there, and then took a year off. After that, did my MBA at RMIT here in Melbourne, completed that, and then got into consulting from there. And then prior to that, I did an arts degree, which is early days. So it was my undergraduate, major in history and Australian studies, which was great. Just love getting into history as well. So it was a good opportunity there. Do a bit of travel as well for uni, and learn about the history of the world, which is great.
Amazing. Where did you travel?
For uni, we did study tours of Turkey. So I spent a bit of time in Istanbul, Gallipoli. Spent a couple of weeks at Gallipoli, which was great, and then in Italy as well, which was great. Monash had a campus over in Tuscany, and I've been to Tuscany a few times. One of my favourite spots. So tell us, if I could retire anywhere in the world, it'd be Tuscany.
Oh, yeah. That would have been so interesting.
I heard the weather's great over there. So tell us, Nick, your journey from insurance to Deloitte to now data. How did that all take its steps, and what made you make the decision?
Really, to get into consulting, it's really the best training ground. And that's essentially what I wanted to get. I want to get the real world experience after doing the MBA, which is the more theoretical, but to actually use those skills that develop through the MBA in action. Doing it at management consulting was really the way to go. Got to work with different clients, got to do a lot of different things. You work from one role, you're doing PMO work, another you're doing business analyst work, you're doing data analyst work. You just get, it's all about learning. You get to find out what you actually enjoy. And I enjoy doing transformation. And then through that, using data was massive for that, to be able to make the decisions, to get really initiatives together, how to track the initiatives, see how they're going, where can you add value, essentially. And to do that, you needed data to be able to do it, which was always a challenge, especially enterprise level. There's always, people protect their turf and want to So making it hard to get the data was always a challenge. So me and my ex-business partner a few years ago gone, I don't know, there's a good opportunity here in Australia, especially Melbourne, to help mid-market size get more of their data. It's a lot cheaper now than it was 5-10 years ago, especially with all the cloud-based tools that you can use now. You can build it, you can connect it all. So it's very much, all right, let's see how we can help them solve problems. Essentially, what was their biggest problem? All right, let's go in and help them make that decision. How can we give them the data that they need to be able to make the right decision, essentially?
Yeah, and was there a pivotal moment like early in your career that really shaped how you approach problem solving today?
Oh, absolutely. Back earlier, it was, all right, I've got all this data, like, let's see what we can do with it. We grab the data, put it all together. You think it can help improve a process. You think it can improve a bottleneck. But if you're starting from that side of things, you're not actually solving a problem. Essentially, you're just trying to come up with a problem based off the data you have. You don't know if it's actually going to have any value to the client or to someone in a general manager or EGM or whatever. So it's very much now it's working backwards to an extent. All right, what is the biggest problem that you have? All right, let's work backwards to how we can solve it to get there. So we actually know we're solving the right problem rather than going, oh, we've done all this great, cool stuff. This is what we can do with it. But then the business sponsor or GM goes, well, we don't, that's not even a major problem for us at the moment. We've got all these other bigger issues that need to be looked at. So it's very much, all right, chat to the, work through, all right, what is the actual problem and uncover that. I don't know if you know, doing things like the 5 whys or something like that, or doing all those different skills, different tools or methodologies that you can use. I don't know if you know or double diamond, go out and come back in and go out and come back in when solving problems. So yeah, really using those type of methodologies to be able to solve problems that matter. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, you did. But break down this double diamond. I don't know. Do you know what it is? I'm not aware. Tell me a little bit more.
Well, it's kind of like, so first you've got to go wide to discover the problem. So they say a problem, so you go, all right, let's just really discover, let's ask as many questions as a problem as we can and try and get a better understanding. And then you come back down and you define the problem. All right, what's the actual problem statement here? What are we trying to solve? And then you develop the solution, essentially, which is very much and a lot of it is fail fast, fail often type of mentality, which is something I do constantly, is fail fast, fail often to try and get to a solution. And then at the end, it's all about how you deliver the solution.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's still used widely today, but 10 years ago when I did my MBA, it was one of the design thinking type of methodologies.
So if we're looking about challenges, if we're looking at challenges, Nick, within organizations and how data can help them to overcome them, could you talk us through some of the challenges that you've helped to overcome with some of these medium-sized?
Yeah, a lot of it is, well, not a lot, some of it has been like for one of our clients, it was all about understanding their sales journey from when a lead becomes a lead, become a sales qualified lead, all the way to settled. And just understanding each step, all right, how long does it take to get through each step? Where is those bottlenecks on those steps? So it's very, all right, let's get the data and let's identify, all right, why does it take X amount of time to get from this step to that step? Why is this person doing it quicker than this salesperson doing it quicker than this salesperson? And it was very much, all right, let's do a full-on deep dive into their customer journey from lead to settled. And that led on to then really understanding your customer as well. So what were the key demographics of customers that converted more? Was it a wage bracket, gender, was it age, location, all that? And then starting to really analyze, all right, which ones are converting more? What are the key metrics that are, the key demographics of these people that are converting, and then identifying them early in the process. All right, these match the key things, and then getting the sales team to focus more on those, then treating every lead as equal. Essentially, it's really understanding who your customers are and what's more likely to convert.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about these data-driven decision-making approaches, once you show the data, do you find the organization quite happily accepts that data, or do you find they occasionally have internal challenges?
There's always challenges straight away trying to accept the data. That some really, it depends who the leader is, or the business owner, or whoever it is, how trusted they are of their own data, of what's coming in, because the old saying, shit in, shit out. Essentially, you got to trust that what's coming in is correct. So some like to go, all right, I want to understand how this was all derived, how you got to these key these metrics, and how this was built. Others are a lot more, all right, let's make a decision. So it's very different. It depends who the decision maker is, who the business owner is, and how much they want to get into the weeds versus how much they just trust that it's coming through. But you've got to make sure what we do is accurate and it all makes sense. It's all explainable to be able to give give those high level metrics to the owner, essentially.
Yeah, totally. And so what actually pulled you towards data and analytics, and not just like part of your job, but personally?
Well, for me, I like solving problems. If someone has a problem, I like to be able to solve it. And that gives us a really good, and doing through data and analytics, it's a great way to be able to solve problems so people can either make better decisions or make a process quicker, automating the process, helping people get more time back in the day that they're not spending in spreadsheets. I just really enjoy solving problems. It's really what it comes down to. And I've always been big on stats and all that, and sports stats, AFL, just to be able to reel off stats.
Do you find that? Sorry, no, you go.
Yeah, stats. Back in my history days of uni, be able to give the play-by-play essentially on dates going all the way from. I did mostly 20th century, from 1870 to 1990, before the key events. It's just kind of how my brain works, of getting those data points.
And in your everyday life, like at home with family, that's how you solve your problems as well? Yeah,
well, I like to get all the information. My wife would probably tell you that I overthink everything, which I do. But I like to have all the the information available before making decisions. Well, most of the time, depends what it is. Sometimes I can be impulsive, but a lot of the time is I need to have everything on the table before this is the right decision to make. And that's all about just getting the right data in front of you to be able to make those decisions.
And talking about change, because ultimately the data that you have and that you make available to these organizations will then inherently drive some kind of a change from their business as usual processes, hopefully. Other than the data and mathematics and the analytics, do you find yourself employing any other tools in the bag that might be able to help organizations or family members or friends change their approach based on the information?
What do you mean by tools? Like methodologies or...
Do you find yourself using any other persuasions, or do you butter them up with a box of chocolates before you present the data? Do you have any other tools?
Well, it's very much bringing them along on the journey from the start, especially from the data strategy work that we do. It's getting into those workshops early. speaking to all the key stakeholders who are involved, and just capturing everything that they're saying, letting them speak, and replaying. Especially, it's important to replay it back to them, so they've felt heard. That it hasn't just been a fluff piece or anything like that, piece of work. It's all right. This is what either your pain points are, or this is what's going well. Your rosebud and thorn sort of thing. What's working well? What's needs to be improved,
So
and what's not working.
You use workshops basically to drive that initial engagement.
Absolutely.
Let me throw another question out here, Nick. What would you do in situations where certain key members aren't attending those workshops or aren't, I guess, following the program, but change still needs to happen within an organization?
That is a very, very good question. That's a very tough to get people on board from that side. But for those, you try and identify, back in, I can't remember which one, etc. days, for people who, when it was like a system change or something that, there's always people who were experts on the old system who would potentially feel isolated or not, don't have that, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for, but sense of purpose, because they were the go-to person on the old system, is to get them in early and get them using the new system early, get them involved as early as possible so they can essentially become the SME of the change, the new person, the new system, or whatever it is, if it's a new process system, whatever the change is really to get them involved early so they can still have that sense of purpose of being the SME, and then they can help drive the change to the rest of the organisation. But on the terms of if they just don't want to get involved or anything, it's always a tough one. You just got to keep persisting. Essentially, it's just got to try and get their time. It's a lot. What used to be a lot easier when everyone was in the office. I'll tell you that much. You could just go up to a desk. You could go have a chat, or in the lunchroom or something like that. Just build that rapport that you need to be able to influence. It's not as easy these days when you're doing it on Teams or Zoom, and you sort of miss that of trying to build that rapport with people.
Yeah,
because if people like you, they're going to want to work with you and help you, essentially.
Yeah,
that's right. It's a lot harder to have that relationship with somebody who's on the other side of the state quite often.
100%. I much prefer to do in-person meetings, in-person workshops, but these days you've got attendees who are also all over the country, so it makes it a bit harder.
That opens it up a lot more, though, and I think that people working from all over the place is a bit more grounded and more realistic as well. So there's pros and cons to it, really.
Exactly. Well, you're not flying every week like we used to pre-COVID when you had a project or something in another state. So there is that plus side of it. The Monday morning 6 a.m. flights are never fun.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing, Nick, is exactly right. What I'm hearing, Nick, is exactly right. You have a lot of data, and you bring a lot of that data-driven decision making, but at its core, you are helping people to change their identity. Really, as you've mentioned, you have the people who are part of the old systems, and you are now encouraging them in the best persuasive way you can, supported by data, to help them to make that shift.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and it's really just to give them, it's to help them more than anything else, whether it's to make decisions or give some time back in their day. They don't have to live in spreadsheets, which as soon as a spreadsheet's involved, there's going to be some sort of human error at some stage. You could do the best Excel model of all time, but as soon as it goes to someone else, they'll inevitably break it. And then it's not worth the effort anymore. So it's really like excelling the benefits, whether it's tangible, you get this time back, or intangible, like it'll help you make this decision, essentially, or make your life easier.
And speaking about the human element and getting time in for yourself, how do you manage your own headspace? How do you step away from the tools, so to speak, and regain your sanity?
Definitely for me, it was spending time with my family, my wife, mates, all that. That's very important. But also, I love my running. I run most nights of the week and on weekends. So that's more for mental health than anything else. Just clear the mind. It's where I do my best thinking, probably, is when running. And you just feel better once you're releasing the endorphins and all that, and you just feel a lot better, and it helps you sleep better. It's exercise is absolutely important. And then outside of that, it's love my sport, footy. Probably get far too invested in the footy in Geelong. Geelong Cats in the AFL. For something you've got no control over, I don't know why we get so invested in.
So the small routines and moments that keep you grounded would be the physical, the exercise, the running, the sport, that sort of thing.
Family, all that.
Yeah, absolutely. It just takes you physically away from it, but also your mind away from it. You're not constantly thinking about work or could have done this better, or how can I do this better, or what went wrong here. Doing all the overthinking things I was talking about before. It just gives you that break, and I'm an absolute creature of habit. Essentially, it's having that routine is very important. When you get to holiday time, it's like it takes a while to get into a new routine and then getting back into it's like, oh god. So
no, that's like, have you read that book Atomic Habits?
Yes, I've definitely read Atomic Habits. I can't remember his name either, but I picked up a few things from that.
Yes.
Very, very good read.
Yeah, I agree. And he highly recommends habits as a way of, being grounded and just getting through the day. And I know that's something that we actually use in our everyday life with not just work, but even just parenting and kids and the whole routine, multiple school activities.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah.
The amount of pressure they put on parents these days to attend school events, I don't know how you do it.
Oh,
absolutely. I remember my parents didn't attend half of the activities that my kids get up to nowadays, but it does help us to create that deeper bond, I guess, and to know what's going on. But then exactly right, just adds to the pressure of having to do everything else. Yeah.
Literally, like organizing theatre rehearsal with basketball this morning was my job for like half the morning before I could get onto my actual job. So, it is what it is. Yeah.
Oh, but look, I don't have kids. Maybe the next couple of years or something. But between me and my wife, I've got 12 nephews and nieces. So I spend a lot of time with
oh wow,
with all of them. So this weekend I have to watch one play footy and basketball and then I'll try and be involved as we can. But we get to leave. So that's I guess
when things get hard, you get the hangover. Yeah.
Exactly. So I still haven't yet to change a nappy. So that's a good result for me, I think, to avoid all of that.
You can't say you're parenting yet. Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, absolutely. I think you touched on, the thought process and how routines and exercise help us to overcome it. Have you ever been at a point in your life where I guess you discovered that this was something that you needed to manage better in your routine, or have you always been a runner and that's always helped you to, I guess, process that day's worth of information?
No, it came a lot, probably late 20s, I think. Because you do like footy when you were younger, you could play footy. If I did now, I wouldn't be able to move for a week. But you had that bit more organised sport, or you did a bit of running here or there, but you didn't really know the value of it. It was more, I'll just do it to stay fit or something like that. So it wasn't until mid to late 20s and going, oh no, this routine makes me feel better, especially from a mental health perspective. And when you don't do it, you can really feel the difference of not running. Like if it's a very stressful time at work or in my life and it's hard to get the energy or anything else to be able to do the running, you notice it. You really notice it of just your mood is completely different.
Yeah.
So it came a bit later and it was only mid to late 20s that I started to run a lot more.
And you saw the purpose in it, you saw how it helped, so you stuck with it. That's pretty good.
Exactly. And it helps that I enjoy it. A lot of people don't like running. I don't like bike riding or swimming. So, people have their different things that they like to do. And so, look, any sort of physical activity I think is good. Even just going out for a walk. Speaking about atomic habits, I've started to, try at lunch to just get out for a 15-minute walk or something like that, just around the office, around the area in the office, just because it's like, just sitting here all day is just not good.
Yeah,
so just doing something like that to break it up.
Especially in your position, you're buried in the data for hours on end and isolated, and you need to be able to get out and get some human contact and just feed some ducks or anything really.
Absolutely. Luckily, there's other people in the office, so there's a little bit of people in here from a different organisation. So it's good to have people around. And look, I think I don't like working from home after COVID. That was enough for me. So I come to the office 5 days a week. If I do work on the weekends, I come to the office because I just don't. I like to keep it separate and not have, thinking that work at home. I should be doing work or something like that. So I try and keep it as separate as well.
Yeah, I find that so interesting. Like some people you speak to are just like you. They have to be working from the office and feeling that energy of being there and feeling, like they should do their job. And then there's people like myself. I just work from home and I love it. I feel like I've got my interaction, my social, but I feel very organized at home. I feel like I'm not wasting time getting to the office. I'm just doing the job. Yeah, so it's really interesting. What's one belief or mindset that you've completely changed your mind about over the years?
Ooh, well, that's a tough question.
Yeah, on the spot.
On the spot. I don't know. That's just trying to. Yeah, that is tough. Mindsets. Well, I guess it's just that. I don't know if I've always had it or not. I think when you're starting out in work or working for organisations, you just do, that's what they told, you get told what to do and all that. And that's generally, I've done my task, that's it. That's job done for the day or something like that. But now, especially, running my own business, it's always, it's task done, but it's more, what else can be done now? What else needs to be done? What's the next thing that can help the business? What's the next thing that could help with business development? It's just having that mindset of there's always something to do to better the business. Whether it's longevity, they will keep it up because it's just that determination. But it's very much of, all right, well, let's just keep going. There's always something that can be done, essentially.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answered that well on the spot, but
and I think as well, because you've gone from working for someone for many years to now running your own business, I would think it's been a huge mindset shift into being more of that leader, the way you lead your company. Yeah, that's a mindset shift as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. When you're in consulting, there's always management consulting, it's always the business development part, and when you're doing that, working for someone else, like what's the value in this and all that. I've got all this other stuff going on, but then once it's your own business, you've got, this is important. This is very important. This needs to be done. This needs to be kept up. You've got to assign time out of your day, week to continually work on the business itself, as well as doing the delivery. Because if you just focus on doing delivery, eventually that pipeline will dry up.
So other than ongoing business needs, on a deeper level, what still drives you, Nick?
What drives me? Wanting the business to be a success, I guess. That's or the opposite of not failing is another one of looking at it, of just keep it going. Like really, it's to be able to provide, to be able to make this business a success, essentially, is what drives me at the moment. Is just continually doing what I can for this business to be a success. And we'll be looking at the scale in the business in the next 6 to 12 months, and continually try and scale as much as reasonably possible within reason. So it's just I I guess that you probably could say to myself is the fear of failure is what drives.
Yeah, motivation. And, because it's data, not everybody's going to necessarily always understand it. How do you make those, clear and actionable to your clients rather than overwhelming?
I just focus on a few key metrics is what you have to do. What are the key main ones you need to look at? It's usually a pyramid that these two metrics lead to this one and all that. And so you just need to, for the executive level or the business owner level, is just keep it as simple as possible. Don't overwhelm them unless they want to see it. Some do, but it's not overwhelm them with data points or metrics or anything like that. Just what are the most important ones to help them make a decision, and just keep it as at that high level for them. And then once they ask, you go, all right, well, this has been driven from this point and this data point's driving this, and just being able to, it's the old metric tree of what leads to this. But essentially, it's just not overwhelming with data. Keep it as simple as possible.
Use the human language, the words that we all can understand.
100% human language. I don't like to use technical language. I much prefer to just keep it keep it simple, the old KISS.
Yeah.
So that's much how we operate, and just keep it as clean as possible. The tool we mainly use for our clients is a tool called ThoughtSpot, which is a BI tool. It's not as fancy as a Tableau or a Power BI, but it's very clean and it's very easy to read. So that's why we use that tool especially.
Yeah, and easy to teach. Yeah,
absolutely.
I wanted to come back. Yeah. I wanted to come back to the mindset and, being in your situation of running the business, being responsible for its outcomes, and talking about coming into the office to have a little bit of human interaction. Do you maintain ongoing relationships, or is that difficult to do with the demand of work and everything else that goes on in your life?
In terms of business relationships or just relationships in general?
Relationships in general, friends, family members. Do you have a lot of time to go out for a beer with an old college buddy?
Make the time. It's a bit harder. Everyone's sort of got young kids these days, and might be us in the next couple of years. So it's you've been through it when they're that young. So, but no, definitely make an effort. Still see friends. Thursday night, I run with a mate. Either it's coffee with a mate. It's we're all footy fans, so go to the footy. Try and keep those relationships as often as possible. It's not every Friday and Saturday night anymore, but it used to be back in the day. But it's still keep it consistent. We've got a good close group of mates as well, so that really helps. And then with family as well. My parents are in Melbourne. My brother's in Melbourne, so see them a bit. My sister's down on the Great Ocean Road. She's got 4 kids, so get down there. Once every couple of months. My father also has a house down that way, so you're there. We go down there for Christmas or whenever we can. And my wife's family's in Bendigo and Echuca, which is on the Murray into New South Wales. Yeah. So we try and make an effort to get up there once or twice a month as well. So just make the effort to go see family and sure we see friends and everything. So definitely a big part of the life. So haven't lost that. And in terms of business relationships, a lot of the connections you have, just put in recurring, either it's recurring quarterly coffees or something like that, just to keep them going, keep in contact and things like that. You just got to make sure you make time for it. And
yes,
on that front, it's just good for personal learning. To what are they working on? What are you working on? Just being able to keep those conversations happening. How can we help you? How can you help us? So just definitely got to make time.
Definitely. Is there a personal failure or difficult season that ended up teaching you more than success did?
Oh, absolutely. You learn more from your failures than than from your successes, really. So it's I've covered where it was at, that a project that obviously didn't go to plan. 90% of it was done correctly, but the last 10% wasn't, and it just didn't meet the client's expectations, and it just for me it was pretty shattering to not have completed it to the level the client expected, and for me it was just very much big learnings on, all right, what happened during that process. There was a 5-6 month engagement. What could be done better to make sure this doesn't happen again? What processes, what guardrails to put in place? And a lot of it is just things like communication, keeping the conversations happening. If things aren't going to plan, don't hide it or things like that. It's more, all right, let's raise it and what can be done to get together and work with the client internally, where I worked at the consulting company I was at. What can everyone do to try and get it back on track rather than just continually driving forward when essentially it's going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just communication is vital, and make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah. And the way you really would handle regular relationships too, isn't it? Business and otherwise at home.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a thing I'm constantly working on. It's a big thing I need to work on. So it's a constant challenge. Sometimes I look, and it's probably overthinking, look internally too much. And sometimes it's better just, like I said, personal or business, just to chat and get open communication of what's happening, what can be done to improve the situation.
Yeah. I think that's so true, actually. Looking internally, we're always in our own heads and analyzing our own selves rather than just letting the other person see it. So that's a very valid.
But it's also about having the courage and the awareness to be able to see that something isn't working and to be able to have that difficult conversation early, because quite rightly, as you said,
Absolutely.
Nick, I think the human tendency is to smooth it, hide it, get on with it, and hopefully it sorts itself out. But you run the risk of digging the hole deeper rather than actually resolving it at its infancy.
Absolutely. So, as you said, it's important to have those tough conversations as quickly as possible. One, people respect that more than if you just hope for the best. So it's and people generally want to help or make things better. What can they do to improve the situation?
So what helps you to have those difficult conversations when you need to, Nick?
It's always a challenge. Still, like I said, something still working on, having those tough conversations. But for me now, it's just from that sort of learning, from that sort of situation of, all right, it's going to suck at the time, and it's not going to feel good. But you generally have to force yourself to do it, to have those conversations, to be open. Because if not, it's just going to drag on, and you're going to feel pretty shit anyway.
I was just thinking, like, this is my big breakthrough moment of this conversation, actually, is that's so true. Sometimes the difficult conversations and the things that we're trying to avoid, or even just the difficult actions, the things that we want to push, defer to later, if we just get it done and out the way sooner, we're probably way more, like, it's not such a big deal anymore, because that whole saying, this too shall pass, that moment will pass, but the more we keep deferring it, it's made bigger. So bite the bullet, get it done. I like that.
Absolutely. Even from a few weeks ago, when I was trying to solve a business, something for one of the clients, and my wife was just like, all right, stop thinking about it, just start doing it. Just start putting it into action, start trying to work through it rather than just sitting there thinking, oh, this happened because of this and all that. Yeah. And it was very much just get cracking on it, because you're not going to feel better going around in circles.
And that's an important point then,
exactly.
Nick, action, right? Quite often you really don't know until you have a go. You put one foot in front of the other. Sometimes it goes a lot better than what you might expect. Sometimes it goes a lot worse. But again, by not making those assumptions and by putting that thought into action, you're then able to have some kind of clarity around that particular situation.
Absolutely. And it goes back to 7-4 to fail fast, fail often. That's all just having a crack. Just going, all right, is this a way forward to solve it? No, that didn't work. All right, what's a different way? All right, that didn't work. What's a different way? And it's all, like I said, just doing the action and making action to try to, rather than just sitting there.
Yeah.
And coming back real quick to failing fast and failing soon and moving forward, I can't help to hear the word failure. And I just want to ask your opinion here about the attitudes within organizations, both individual, ground up through to leadership and as a whole towards the words failure. And how do organizations tend to feel about that process?
No one talks about failure. You don't want failure in organizations, in enterprise level.
It doesn't exist.
Even when I was in, it doesn't exist. No, failure is, you're wrong. You've done bad, essentially. No one really wants, and even definitely with bosses and all that, you're terrified, absolutely terrified of failure or getting it wrong, rather than seeing it as that's a learning experience, or but that got us to this solution. This helped us narrow down what are the different options. It's just that, I don't know, it's just that fear in those organizations of making a mistake. Look, not all organizations, but a lot of the big enterprise level, because people jump on you. You got politics involved. It's all it's all tangled up within organization.
The way, and they instead should look at it the way you said. It's like a learning tool. Okay, this hasn't worked, so let's shift, and it could be a success problem actually.
Absolutely, and everyone brings something different to a job or an organization, and you just got to find what that is for people, and you do that by what don't they do well, what do they do well, how can we get more out of what they do well, rather than focusing so heavily on what isn't one of their strongest skills and things like that. So it's and people are very quick to move people on these days.
Yes. And coming back again to failure and being allergic to it, is it potentially engraved in us? Is it a little bit of a social kind of expectation around failure and around the word, and we see it as letting ourselves down, letting a team down, letting the organization down? And what could be some practical steps to reframe it into the way that I guess we are discussing it now, Nick, into an opportunity of learning, of success, of greater success moving down the line, rather than sticking to what we know?
Jeez, that's a heavy topic of why is it ingrained in us? Where do you want to start? Where do you want to go back to?
I know why it's ingrained. How do we change it?
How do we change it? Well, that's a tough question, because as I said before, what motivates me is almost that fear of failure still to this day, which is to letting people down, not meeting expectations I have on myself, and things like that, or on others as well. So yeah, that's a very, how do you change it? It's just like I said, just try and treat it as a learning experience, or as a positive. Try and reframe it more positive. How to do that practically is a tough question, but it'll take a strong leader to be able to do that in organizations.
And I think repositioning it and making it more like okay, this didn't work, we'll find another solution. Maybe not giving up, but continuing on. It's not really a failure. until you give up. So
exactly, and that's what drives me as well, and why I think I've managed to build the business as much as we have in the last 2.5 years, is just not giving up, just continually grind to be able to get that answer. Because I believe there's not a problem out there that hasn't been solved by someone else. You just got to keep working out how it's been done previously, and it probably goes back to my history mentality of looking at the past to help solve the future. There's always a way to get things done. You just got to.
And that brings it back to what. I was saying, like, that brings it back to what you were saying earlier about when we're working with people, and instead of looking at the way they might do things wrong, but rather looking at the qualities they bring and using that, working on that. That's actually just a really important way to deal with all the people in our lives, really. Is like, what do they bring to the table that we can work with, rather than everything that we can't work with,
100%. And we've all got, I've got many things that need to be worked on, as we all do. So it's just still looking at what you're good at, though. Don't just focus on what you're not good at.
Exactly. So, Nick, what keeps you curious today? What still makes you want to, keep learning?
Oh, there's so much change happening, especially in data technology space. It's I feel like it's almost a daily basis. There's something new coming out. So just try to see what's out there, what's coming up, what's new that can make life easier, make business easier. At the moment, it's all the AI stuff that's in the world. Geez, who knows what that's going to look like in 6 months? It used to be back in the day, you could at least know a couple of years in the future of what was happening. That's long gone. You just don't know what's gonna come up, and that's what keeps me curious and wanting to keep working. Like, as we structure the businesses run now, like, that might not be what it looks like in 5 years' time, because there'll just be so many changes in the business. So just continually looking at what's out there, what can we use to help clients essentially to solve their problems. So I enjoy it. I enjoy trying new things, learning new things, building new things, whether it's building a new app, a new integration, or something that I haven't done it in a certain way before, finding a new tool that will make it easier, just things like that. That's what keeps me curious.
Yeah.
And coming back to AI, and I'm glad you raised it, Nick, because moving into I guess the future of your company, and if you had a crystal ball, and you're quite right, AI is moving so quickly from week to week to month. It's almost a new playing field, and we're not quite sure about how that will impact our particular industries. And before we figure it out, it's changed again. But if you had a crystal ball, how would you see AI and its role within the space that you're in, data, and how would it impact, I guess, your business, and what sort of services you offer to the clients?
AI will just make things easier. It will be more automated, essentially. Everything will be a lot easier to connect, to bring everything together. It will be a lot quicker to be able to do it. I always say AI won't replace people. It will just make people more productive in what they do, more efficient, so they can do more work at a quicker rate than done previously, than those who don't use AI. So that's where it's going to impact people. But it's essentially for our work, it's still comes down, and we're big on this, is you need to have the foundation right. You need to have clean data. You need to have the right processes in place to ensure that the data you've got coming in is useful, it's accurate, and that's once you've got all that and you've built a single source of truth of all your data from all your different systems, that's where now the AI benefits will be able to come. But essentially, for our business, it'll just make things a lot quicker to be able to connect and bring everything together. So, and then no doubt we'll have to adapt at some stage as well to go, all right, how can we continue adding that value to our clients? and there'll always be something that needs to be done in that space. So AI is not going to solve everything. It'll just make us more productive and quicker to solve it.
People are still needed. Humans are still needed at the end of the day.
100% humans are. Even things, especially like financial planners, mortgage brokers. People are like, oh, they're going to get replaced. But no, people still want to talk. I want to talk to a person. I don't want AI telling me what to do with my money, or is this the right option, or anything like that. People still want that human connection.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, people like talking to people.
Exactly. So, look, it's not going to replace everything.
No.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right, and as we've covered, you walk into an organization, and ideally, when everyone's not working from home, you're able to go across to their desk or have a cup of coffee with them, or have lunch with them, and just sit down, look them in the eye, and say, look, Bill or Jane, what is it that you are facing? How is it that some of those challenges can be overcome? And I think with your experience and with your intuition as a human being, you're able to get a whole bunch of answers and a whole bunch of data that AI necessarily cannot, with pre-available information that's accessible to anyone on the internet.
Oh, absolutely. You always need qualitative data, no matter what. You need to have that sort of data rather than just relying on the quantitative. So it's that's not going to change, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. So, Nick, at the end of the day, what kind of impact do you hope to leave on the organizations or the people that you work with?
Just that made their working life easier. That been able to make them get time back in their day, being able to solve their problems, and essentially, just make their lives easier, and they see value in what we're bringing to their organisation. Essentially, that's what motivates me. As long as if they're not seeing value, then there's no point being involved. So it's continually adding that value and making their life better.
Sounds amazing. And in your business, what sort of clients would be drawn to you? What sort of clients would be coming to you?
Like I said, we focus more on the mid-market space, and essentially they either want to grow or they're looking to sell in the next few years, and need to get all their data in order. So essentially, it's businesses that know they're spending too much time in Excel. They don't trust the data that they're getting, and they've got multiple systems. So they're the ones that usually come to us. They've got a simple question that they need answered, such as one that they didn't know what their gross profit was, and they just wanted to get an answer on that. So that was the first problem that we solved. So it always starts with one problem, and then you continually build on that. Once you solve that, you go, all right, what's the next one? And then continually work with them to solve more and more of their problems that they need.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing.
And finally, if your closest friends describe you in one sentence, what would you hope they'd say?
Oh, God.
You can blow your own trumpet now, Nick. That's right.
Well, probably one word, just genuine would be one that I'd want to be. Just genuine, sticks to they are who they are. Oh, I am what I am. I don't know how you say it that way, but just a genuine, someone they can rely on, who's honest, and is always there. So I equate that to being genuine.
Yeah, and I can certainly see someone that genuinely wants to, help and solve problems and make life simpler for the other person. So that's a very nice quality. Yeah.
You definitely do come across genuine, Nick. I think there's something about your energy, and there's something about the way that you just share your information that has a real genuine quality about it. So I think you're on the ball. In our final in our final words, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience? Is there anything else if we want to get in touch with you, or if there's any mid-sized companies out there listening in? What's the best way to get in touch with yourself and your company?
I've got the website, www.pentifyinsights.com, or my email, nick@pentifyinsights.com. They're the best ways to get in contact, and yeah, happy to chat with anyone anytime, and just whether it's just talk about data in general, or how we could potentially help.
Yes, and solve their problems. Definitely, we'll have the posted so they'll be able to
appreciate it.
Chat to you. That'd be great.
No,
again,
appreciate you making time, and I like the way you interview and everything. It's probably got more out of me than I expected. So I think that goes back to good interviewers. Usually I'm pretty guarded on some of that stuff, so it was good to
chat.
Thank you
so much.
We'll put you on the spot a little bit here, Nick, to make you think about it all. But no, we really appreciate you taking the time again to sit down with us. As Michelle said, we'll post all the links in the descriptions, and hopefully we'll speak to you again soon.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate your time, and let me know, and I'll share it as well and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.